There we are. We're live. Hi, everybody. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. Welcome to another Sunday conversation. And today I have a new guest, and I'm so excited that you're here, Laura. This is Laura Tempest Zakroff. And let me just read the little bio here because she's very cool, and I think you'll love her. So Laura is a professional artist, author, performer, and modern traditional witch. So if you have questions about that, feel free to ask her. She's got a BFA from RISD, which is the Rhode Island School of Design. Now, you didn't say RISD, you said Rhode Island School of Design. I'm just showing off that I know it's called RISD. And her artwork has received awards and honors worldwide. Tempest is the author of several best-selling books, including Weave the Liminal, Sigil Witchery, Visual Alchemy, and Anatomy of a Witch. She's also the artist and author of Sigil Witchery Oracle, Anatomy of a Witch Oracle, and Liminal Spirits Oracle, which would be cards, of course, right? And you can visit her at her website, which I have in my show notes also. It's lauratempestzakroff.com. I'm so excited to have you here, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So you're primarily known, I mean, where I knew you from was as a creator of sigils. Mm-hmm. And so I do want to talk about sigils, but not quite yet. I just want to say hi to everybody. I know that I get it that it's Memorial Day weekend, but I thought it would be fun to do this live. Sometimes I do it live, sometimes I don't. But I figured why not do it live? And then as we talk, if you have questions, please put them in the chat and I will, you know what, maybe I'll put my reading glasses on. And that way I can see the questions and I can direct them to Laura. So Laura, you're a witch.
Yes.
Now, I mean, these are interesting times in which to be a witch, would you say?
Yes, for sure. I've been saying for a while too, like these are the times that we were made for, and it is definitely seeing a revival of witchcraft, you know, which is what do? We turn to magic when the normal paths to power aren't working.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So tell me about your understanding of tarot. I've told you that my audience, you know, generally comes for the political and social divination that I do. They are inadvertently, in spite of themselves, maybe learning Lenormand, mm-hmm. Which is great. But I do have a lot of tarotists here as well, and some people who know nothing about tarot. So can you explain to us what it is and your approach? Because I think your approach to it is unique. The new book is called Tarot by Tempest. And I think it's very friendly, very comprehensive, and very, I think it's a way to learn tarot that is very freeing. It's not all, you know, you have to memorize the 78 cards and you have to, you know, it's way more freeing than that. So if you liked my book, which was a friendly way to learn Lenormand, I think you'll enjoy this. And because you're an artist and a dancer and all of that, none of which I am, you might even like it better, you all. So tell me about what your understanding is about what tarot is.
I've been working with tarot for going on 30 years now. And, you know, as an artist, it's always been appealing because you have pictures, right? You have so many little pictures to interpret. And I consider myself a myth maker or a storyteller, right? So to see the stories, the patterns that are inherent in our lives. Tarot is, you know, maybe like what's going to happen in the future, but it also helps us look into the patterns of the past and what's happening right here in the present so that we can make good choices, hopefully, or more informed choices for ourselves. And what's, you know, even though I've designed so many oracles, the thing that, you know, I come back to my love for tarot is that we have those 78 cards, right? The 22 major arcana and the 56 minor arcana set up into this number system. And once you get into looking at the numbers, there is a rhythm there, right? And the world works and moves in rhythms and patterns. So if we can attune ourselves to that, then we get a better insight into ourselves and what's happening around us.
Yeah, one of the things that most struck me about the book was your reference to math and numbers and all of that. So, for example, when I pull a 9 card spread in Lenormand, I use the Fibonacci sequence. That's how I pull the cards. And but I know a lot of people are math phobic.
Yes.
So can you talk about how math works with tarot, in tarot?
Yes. I often joke that I do 3 things that scare people, right? Art, people like, I can't make art. Dance, oh, I can't move, right? And
Mhm.
then the math, like that's
Mhm.
like, usually people are like, oh, that's fine, that's fine. Oh no, you got me with the math, right? And and it's natural because our society doesn't really have a healthy relationship with math or magic.
Right.
And so with the math of tarot, right? So we have those 22 major arcana labeled generally Rider Waite Smith, and more classic styles from 0 to 21. Right? And each of those numbers can correspond to geometry, which is another scary math aspect, right? But go back to symbolism, right? We have so much symbols around us. When you think about 0, right, with the Fool, which Fool also has 2 zeros or O's in it as well, right? So
Mhm.
it's kind of packed into that. Is when you think of an oval, we might think of an egg, right?
Mhm.
The potential for
Mhm.
something to open up and become, or that we're at this point of, what does 0 mean? To start at a baseline, right?
Right.
And to begin, right? So there's so much potential, and that taps into the meaning of the card that here we are at this place of wonder and embodiment and prepared to receive, what's coming our way, hopefully. And as we move through the rest of it, right, with the magician of the connections, like it's not just the singular one, which can tap into the ego, right? Because you look at that magician card, you're like, this person's got some
Right.
ego going on, right? But it's the step one of learning and experience on the connection from above and below and the vertical line of here we are being present and assembled at the altar. And you can go through the entire major arcana looking at each of those numbers and then link back to the minor arcana, which are also 1 through 10 plus our court cards. So there is this pattern, a rhythm, and energy of going back between the big mysteries and the small mysteries, which helps us divine, the meaning of these things better, I think.
So are you talking about numerology? Is that the same thing or what?
I, I think it's numerology is one of those things where people have very specific ideas about what it is, depending on the context of where you're at.
Mhm.
And I think in some ways, if it's looking at symbolism of numbers, then at
Mhm.
that baseline it is. But I think in a lot of New Age context, there tends to be a lot of grouping of very disparate systems kind of put together or very one specific type of mathematical system. And I'm looking at the number itself and where it has meaning, and then where it connects to shapes and those shapes having meaning, which then moves us into shapes have energy to them, which connects to
Right.
our bodies. So we can look at that shape and think about, okay, what does it mean to be standing up straight? Right. And that gives you suddenly a little bit more insight into the magician to be there standing. So of like, what if the magician was sitting on the ground?
Right.
That's a very different feel, compared to the high priestess, right? Who's sitting there very upright between 2 pillars and the duality and the shape that's in. So you start to think about balance in
Mhm.
that too. And I think for folks who aren't good at, especially wanting to memorize a little tiny white book and have all those little meetings, like, I got to know what that is. Like, wait, you don't have to recall everything all at once. You can think about, how does my body feel in this position? How does it relate to my surroundings? What does that mean to the card and the images that I see on the card?
I think it's just it's really an interesting. It reminds me of the way that I was trying to think about Lenormand when I wrote my book because I thought, everybody learned how to read.
Mhm.
everybody learned an alphabet. So that's great. You memorized and then you learned, oh wait, if you can memorize those letters, and that's cause for celebration, I'm sure, but then you can put them in different order, right? And so Lenormand is the same kind of thing. And that sort of, I think, unlocked a door for a lot of people in how to read Lenormand. And I think similarly with what you do, I mean, there are people who might say, oh, I don't know, tarot, that's too much, but they're kinetic in the way that they learn, right? Or they're visual, or they're mathematically oriented. So it gives I think you give a lot of opportunities for people to tap in to whatever works for them in reading the cards. So your method, would you call it intuitive?
I think it strengthens intuition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're observing versus an observation, which I think also links back to witchcraft. I like to say that witchcraft is 80% observation, paying attention to,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
To
I
look
like that because you'll see the little TikTok girls on who read tarot, but do they really? And they'll say that they're reading intuitively, but what you're doing is it's like, yes, it's intuitive, but with some direction. Like,
mm-hmm.
This is the thing that you should be noticing. Did you notice that? Right. So it's not sort of just your free form intuitive reading that thinks that I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I've heard some very odd interpretations out there in TikTok land, but this is sort of, you're holding their hand while they're using their intuition, and you're saying, did you notice this? Did you notice this? Did you know? I love that. I think it's great. I think it's a really interesting book, and I think that you I mean, the magic of numbers, meaning, and movement. Can you talk more about the movement piece? Because I think that's something that people are going to say, wait, what? How does that relate to reading?
Yeah, one of my editors, when they were going through the book, was like, does Tempest mean that you're going to belly dance like every reading that you're doing? Right. You're like, that would be a fascinating way of doing it. You probably could, but that would take up a lot of time too.
Exactly.
Like, oh, here's the Two of Swords. Here we go. Little shake, right? Yeah. Anyway, sorry, sidetrack, side quest, back forth. So, for me, all of the different aspects of things I do bleed into each other. So, mm-hmm. So art, all the visual art that I've done, it's about capturing movement. I feel like, whether it is spirit or nature or deities, whatever I'm working with, just basic shapes, like there's an energy to it, whether you're going all the way down to the atomic level of particles. And as a dancer, I noticed that, especially bringing into ritual circumstances and performances, whether it's a small crowd or I'm performing in front of thousands of people, mm-hmm. It's an energetic flow, right? So how I move myself is creating patterns in space. All right, I'm kind of carving, and adding to a conversation, which, going back to what is tarot, but it's stories being told, right? It's the idea of what's happening right here. So if people are able to get into their bodies a bit more, which we definitely have issues with our bodies, again, in modern society, right? We tend to live a lot up in our heads. Meanwhile, the whole of our bodies are perceiving the world. We talked about observation, and we tend to think, is it just here? But it's also our gut, it's our hands, it's our ability to smell and to taste and to feel. Those are all part of the observation into perception, to perceive that world. So how we move our bodies can make us be more perceptive to receiving messages or interpreting them, or understand, like, how does this position make me feel? Like when you look at, for example, the Eight of Swords, mm-hmm. right? The figure where, for folks who might not be familiar with the card, you generally have a blindfolded figure, maybe with their hands tied behind them or in front of them, but just basically kind of standing there of their own volition, surrounded by 8 swords stuck into the ground, right? And there's plenty of room for them to move around. But you often feel restricted, right? If you think about standing there in a field of swords and you can't quite see and your hands are bound, how does that make you feel?
Right.
And then we look at the interpretation of that card, right? Eights should be about gaining momentum and strength, and relating back to the
Right.
major arcana, and being able to make action that is decisive and important, but you're feeling constricted. Like there's too many choices. If I do this, if I do that, it's all wrong, right? Instead of following one's intuition, maybe shimmying off the blindfold, right? Or freeing your hands and making a choice, making a decision.
So, okay, this is making me think of two things because I'm listening to you and then I'm watching the feed at the same time. So I'll say the micro thing and then I'll say the more macro thing, although they could be both macro. One of the things I think that is so good about what you just said in terms of the whole movement piece, not to be controversial, but to be controversial because why not? You know that there is, with these drugs that people are taking, these GLP-1 drugs, and Hollywood, which is, of course, dying for reasons that are not necessarily bad, trying to sort of reinvent itself, but anyway, and then the political climate that we're in, there is a shrinking of women, literal physical shrinking of women, where you'll see them on the red carpet and you're like, wait, why are they not in an ambulance on a drip?
Right.
Because that doesn't even look cute. I mean, I can count how many, and you're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to bring it up. I think it's important that we think about why that is in this particular time and space. Women are physically being shrunken and being encouraged to shrink themselves. And what you're doing is essentially the opposite. To shrink yourself would be to do things like say, I'm hungry, but I'm going to act like I'm not hungry. I'm going to pretend I'm just going to ignore that feeling until it goes away or whatever. You're saying the opposite. You're saying pay attention to what your body feels, to how your body moves, to your body's interaction with space. I think that is, I don't want to say radical, but in this time, in this day and time, yes, I think it is a radical perspective. So if nothing else, I think it's worth getting the book just to see that piece. The other thing is that so then the other topic I wanted to mention is I want to go back to the witchcraft piece because I'm noticing in the feed. So as I told you before we came on, Laura, people come here to hear political divination. That's what they want. They want to know, when's it going to happen? How's it going to happen? Should I be chilling the glasses and not just the bottle? And they come a lot of times. People come to a channel like this in a fairly passive way. Like they want me to tell them whatever. And I've seen in the comments, people are wanting us to do predictions. We're not doing that today. This is a Sunday conversation. And so if you were a longtime viewer, you know that means I have a guest on and we talk about whatever we talk about. This is not us doing prediction, just so you know. But anyway, we'll do that another time. But I think that one of the things that I've always hoped with this channel is that people would understand their aegis and their power in this whole process. What whole process? Well, life and the progression of life and where we go and what we do, etc. Instead of feeling like they are passive observers being acted upon. And so I think that the way you approach tarot makes that case. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because tarot is definitely a mechanism for showing you how to do that. Just a single card will show you, oh, somebody's listening to me. Oh, I'm not by myself. Oh, the universe or whoever it is gets me. So, even just a single pull, and you don't have to know anything except look at the card and feel that resonance. But I want to get back to the witchcraft piece because there's been a little bit of a spat, I notice, in my comments. I haven't read the whole thing, but enough to get the gist. And the gist is that, ooh, witch? I mean, these are 1692 type people who hear the word witch and think, bad, evil.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give, just to educate the viewers? Now there are plenty of people who actually do understand what it is, and they have commented, and there have been some beautiful comments. But could you explain what it is, where it comes from, what one does with it, how one walks with it and lives in it, and so that we can maybe so that we don't have to live in 1692 in 2026?
I love that. Because we love indoor plumbing too, right? I'll try to keep it brief.
Okay.
This is such a Gemini thing. Like, I have so much information. Let me tell you all the things.
That's okay. They want to know all the things.
So, there is the classic, like, to define witch, if you ask two witches, you're going to get 6 answers for what a witch is. So I'll stick to my definition and interpretation, which is a witch is someone who is connecting the seen and unseen worlds. What does that mean? That is where we are present, spirit, nature, being physically and emotionally, spiritually, mentally connected to our environment. As you were mentioning earlier with the macro and the idea of, go back to the 8 of Swords and recognizing, is there something out there? One of the key tenets to my practice is understanding interconnectivity, that we are a part of everything around us. The divine is present in all these things, and that my existence in the world is part of nature. I love the expression that nature doesn't need us; we need nature. Like, like that. But it's true. Like, we are part of the system instead of above it, which many religious structures like to teach people being separate from it for often for power dynamic and guilt and shame, instead of seeing that, if we respect the land, and we are of the land because we breathe the air, we drink the water, we eat the food, right? Our bodies come from it, our bodies return to it. And that's all of the peoples of the land, which are the human peoples, but it's also the insects and all the different kinds of animals and the plants and all of these things. All of these things are communicating and moving and part of the system. So to me, as a witch, is trying to be in balance with those things, recognizing and honoring and respecting them, and doing the best I can with that.
No, that's good. And you talk about interconnectedness. When I think about people who, in the feed or elsewhere who immediately hear witch and panic, it's important to think about where that panic is coming from. Mm-hmm. It's coming from being instructed, indoctrinated to believe that interconnectedness, first of all, is not possible and is not desirable. And therefore, I'll be the connected one. As the priest, as the prophet, I'll be the connected one. And all you have to do is come to me and I will hook you up. Maybe for a price, probably for a price. Mm-hmm. I will be your intermediary. I think that with what witches are saying is that, no, we are. An intermediary is unnecessary because, as you say, we are part of all that is. I think that's such a revolutionary concept for a lot of people who've been trained in the opposite, who've been indoctrinated to think in an opposite way.
Yes.
So, are there good witches and bad witches?
Years ago, I was on Coast to Coast, and before there was like a little interview, and so they actually asked me that, and I said, I'm an effective witch. It's not good or bad. It's a matter of, are you effective in what you're doing? Because in a, again, society, right, we put everything into good and evil, bad and negative, above,
Mhm.
below, instead of understanding the axis mundi, because what is good for someone, it can be bad for
Right.
somebody else, right? I have we have basically 3 rules in our household, and this is something I teach my students when I say, looking at morals and ethics in this world. 1, we should take care of ourselves, right? Which is a revolutionary thing, especially for women, because we're told our job is to take care of everybody else. But you can't do a good job of taking care of anybody else if you aren't taking care of you, right? Which might seem selfish, but it's a matter of honoring your body and honoring who you are, right?
Well,
But the
it's like
second,
what the airlines say, right? Put your
yeah,
own
on
mask.
mask. And then and with the pandemic, it's taken on another level. Like it still has the same message. Like, you take care of yourself, which
Right.
gets you to number 2, which is to take care of the people around you. And when I'm referencing people, I'm referencing, again, what I said, all of the people of nature, not just the human beings, right? So if we take care of ourselves, then we're able to create community and be in balance, interconnected with the folks around us. And then number 3 is, I'm not sure about language, so I'll make it less languagey, is don't be a jerk. Like, don't go out of your way to intentionally harm or be destructive, to basically be a dick, right? To
Right.
other people. Like, that's my code of ethics is.
See, because I'm looking at this in the feed. I've never met a person that described herself as a witch. People. It's very interesting. People don't realize that. No, that's a term that you can take on and give meaning to, that is positive and life affirming, and not whatever you taught at Halloween that a witch is.
Right.
You know. Here's what I really want to. I'm dying to talk to you about sigils. Now, okay, because I just do is so cool. So I don't know if you all know what a sigil is, but I'm going to let Laura explain, because a lot of times people will ask me, well, what can we do? I can't, I have no access to the president, and would I want it if I could have it? But what can I do? I feel hopeless. I feel helpless, etc. And you are the master, considered the master of the sigil, and Sigil. Is that correct? Is that how you spell it?
Yeah.
What is a sigil? And tell us about how we can use them.
A sigil essentially is a mark, shape, or symbol that is believed to have magical properties created by human beings. So those are 3 factors, right? We have a symbol, it's made by a human being versus a crow or a cat or a clam, right? And there's a belief that it has magical properties, which covers a wide variety of different things. And you can even go deep into graphic design, right? Because it does affect that. And from doing spellcraft to devotional work, working with ourselves, working with the environment, working with spirits and deities, ancestors, etc. And so wide variety of different uses, but essentially a sigil is this condensed story, right? Our plan, our key to unlock what it is that we want to accomplish.
So you have a sigil that you made.
Mm-hmm.
Can,
Yes.
So you see, it's like she drew this symbol. She made it up and drew it. But what is this for? I know what it's for, but what is it for?
So that was created in March 2020, and as the immunity booster or the good health sigil. So that was created to help at the start of the pandemic to protect people, to spread good awareness and health habits. And I still know folks today, we're going into over 6 years now, who are healthcare workers who still draw this on themselves or have this in their space or apply it to themselves regularly. I've seen it still up in shops and around. Right. So the intention is protection, right? Protection and awareness.
Now, you didn't just say, "Oh, let me just whatever doodle something." Like I'm assuming that each of these strokes of the pen has meaning. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
So
so
the kind of sigils that I create, talk about my book, Sigil Witchery, is I would say it is an intuitive process, but it's the idea, it's coming from your own background of symbols and meaning. And every single person on this planet has a relationship with symbols, marks, and shapes, right? We all, come from civilization, and we have a collection of shapes and symbols around us, right? It's going to differ from place to place, person to person, age to age, right? So when you're creating a sigil, the first thing is to, like, what am I creating it for? So with the immunity booster, it was okay, we have a pandemic on our hands. How do we help protect people in this situation? So that's one. And then I thought about, what are the things we want to build into this, right? So whether it's you know, immunity, what is promoting healthy habits, that people are washing their hands, wearing masks, whatever those different components are. It's been a while since I've looked at the list, right?
mhm.
But each of those things can be condensed down to a symbol, right? So one symbol for health, we might think about the Red Cross, for example, right, as a common symbol for health, or even the Green Cross, right? We
So you
see
did
that.
the cross. Okay.
Yep. Right. So you can see that as a point of, thinking about health, right? It's also a point of access or focus, a crosshair. So you have multiple meanings in there.
Mhm.
You also have the circles in there, which can be about connections and communities and pulling things together. It also could read as the lungs. Think about this COVID.
True.
You know, yeah, it was our first understanding. We know that it goes far beyond now the lungs and what it affects, but it does start with that inhalation, like, right, that's where the contact point is. And we have the star for protection. We also have the moon to help kind of release things, such as different fears about that, and awareness. Spiraling energies continuing to adapt to those situations and allowing those resources. So all of those kind of come together to create that singular sigil.
So anybody can create a sigil, is that correct?
Yes, anybody.
So and so you could draw it on yourself, you could draw it on a piece of paper and keep it in your purse or your pocket. You could put it up on your wall, and it can be for anything.
Yes. Yeah, anything. And the most important thing, I think, is understanding your sphere of influence, right? And what you can accomplish. So if you're looking to get a job or a new place to live, or when you have something for your own personal health, right? It makes it very easy for you to create that list. I put the good health or the immunity booster sigil under shared magick, which is getting into larger social justice awareness and community workings, which are often I do in my workshops, where I'm co-creating co-creating a sigil with the class of people that I'm teaching, so that they can see the process. And some of the most potent ones that have come across in the last decade are like the dissolution of hate. So you're looking at a concept that gets bigger, right? But it starts in the community. It has to start with the people who are understanding it, and then it goes from there. You just can't go from the root level to shoot at the top of the tree.
So what would that look like? What would a sigil for the dissolution of hate look like?
I'd have to pull it up. Let me see if it's
Here's the thing. I mean, you're a witch, and this is witchy action, and it is witchy action that is um, what accessible to everyone who wants to take action. Okay, so that's the dissolution of. Oh, okay. So can you tell us about the
Yep.
different components of that?
So with this one, which was created in Birmingham, Alabama. So here
It's
we
beautiful.
were we were thinking about part of that discussion was, how do you break down racism? Right?
Mhm.
And all the different things that build up misunderstandings and otherings of people, right? So, not just sexism and ageism, like all of those different things that build up.
Mhm.
So, we have some key components in there are the I for
Mhm.
awareness and to see, right? One of the things I talk about, especially with the power sigil, which is another, I have a cat outside the door, wants to very much get in the studio and tell you everybody about how wonderful she is. Uh, Back to focus here. So you see here, I was saying about othering, right? That's kind of one of our biggest issues is that we tend to put those people over there, they're
Right.
the problem, right? But we're all human beings. And as we've talked about, we're all interconnected. So with this, we have that triangle, which could be a symbol of wisdom, like the pyramid of knowledge. We also have a heart image, that kind of the embracing, it's going up, right? So that we might be more open-hearted and open-minded to seeing beyond stereotypes and lies that
Oh, and I like how it's open also,
yes,
the heart.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's, I love open hearts because it's a cup, right? Essentially,
right.
it's like it's something that we can fill, and then we have the energy of the arrows kind of directing that back in. We also have these arrows pointing out, which is being able to share that awareness and greater understanding for each other. Uh, there's also different aspects. Again, it's been a while. This one I think was 2018. Um, was also about coming to dealing with law enforcement, that is also propagating these issues, as well as misinformation. So all of those things being able to get a point of justice and balance coming back into it. So
Mm.
that's just a few things. It was a pretty big list. So this one can be found on my blog. All the sigils that are shared magic ones I post on my blog so people can see them, read about them, and know how to use them.
So, I mean, I'm thinking about, I'm a Reiki master, so there are Reiki symbols, right? And I would think you could use sigils essentially in the same way. Like, it's not just that you draw it, you can meditate on it, correct?
Yes.
Because if the universe's language is vibrational, all of the many ways that you can uh, use a sigil all can work towards that that end that you're looking to achieve, right? So if
Yes.
you draw it, if you uh, wear it, if you meditate on it, I just think this is magic, you all, and it works. It's real and it works. I think it's so cool. So do you do workshops? Is this in person or is this online, or how can people learn, for example, how to do sigil work?
So I do both in person and virtual. I just did one. Most recent one was in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, a couple weeks ago, uh, for protecting the land. As some folks might be aware, there is legislation trying to happen to destroy preserved land, such as Chaco Canyon and other things like that. So we created one for that. But a lot of the ones I did during the pandemic were virtual, and I do those on occasion. Once it gets into nicer weather, I tend to be more out and about. But when it gets back to winter, I offer more virtual workshops. And then, of course, Sigil Witchery, the book, as well as the Sigil Witchery Oracle, can teach you how to do it as well.
Okay, good. I'm just people are liking the conversation a lot, which is good. Uh, oh, here's this is a nice little tribute. I loved Laura's movement series during the early pandemic. I was going through cancer treatment at the time as well, and it really helped me through with gentle movement. So
Oh,
that's a nice tribute. Um, a lot of people are fans of yours here. Um, okay, here's something from Annette Hook. I was raised in the Appalachian witchery tradition, granny women. We're focused, natural, and walkers between worlds. Do you see modern traditional witchery aligned tech? I don't know what that means, aligned tech.
I
I,
mean,
I don't know what that means, tech. I mean, I know what tech is, but I don't know what the relevance. In other words, I guess the Appalachian witchery tradition and modern witchery, do you see them as connected? And if so, how?
Yes. So what I consider to be modern traditional witchcraft, it's more of a fluid term. It's the idea that we're taking our traditions from the past and what we what we need to tackle as modern people living in the society and finding a balance between the two of them. And so it's not a one specific here's the book, here's what you need to do in order to be a modern traditional witch. In Weave the Liminal, which is one of my earlier books, it's about you, the individual, get to craft your practice, right? Understanding where you come from, where you live, what your schedule is like, what your body responds to, all of those different things, and putting them together in a practice. So Appalachian witchcraft and practices, right? That's coming from those histories and the tradition of those people, which is a variety of different people, responding to the land itself, and also considering the economic influences that have really impacted those people, right? That is a balance, right? It's the traditions, it's the older things, but it's also the newer aspects that you're dealing with, and finding a balance between the two of them.
That makes sense. Somebody was saying that they draw a sigil on their supplement bottles. So, I guess to enhance the potency of their digestive enzymes or whatever. Have you, I mean, I don't know why this is popping into my mind, but you mentioned, I think, New Mexico. Did you mention New Mexico?
Yes.
So, of course, I hear New Mexico and I think Zorro Ranch. Have you done any sigil work around that?
Not specifically, and that's a fairly new development. I mean, there are a bunch of different sigils that are about the resilient sigil for women, right? Dealing with a lot of those sort of abusive practices and all of that. Like there's over 100 social magic and just social justice oriented sigils that have been created in the last 10 years, so that I've done specifically. But when I was in New Mexico, it was more for having a little retreat for myself, but to first connect with the community before I went and did that workings, because it's important. The land is very important to me, and the people, those two things coming together.
Now, this is an interesting question. And I'm always having to sort of be school mistress-ish, because I was a teacher for 30 years, with my audience sometimes, and say, because they'll want to know, when is this going to be over? How much longer? So this question is like that a little bit, kind of, but that's okay. I'm going to see what you say about this. So this is ADUBX. Whatever, that's their name. Do you see nature/animals coming back from all this destruction? I mean, which is to say, and so you can see why I'm like, because we all want the happy ending. We all want the fairy tale. We want to hear. I don't know. How would you answer that question?
I feel like it's a bad but appropriate quote. Nature finds a way.
Okay. And yes, nature will out.
If we are gone, nature will be fine.
Nature will still be here. That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
And nature, we just look at the history of evolution and how things have been responded to, not just the man-made disasters, but from meteors striking the earth and different types of cataclysmic events that happen. They're constantly changing, evolving. There is destruction, but there's also creation. You can never see it as just one pin. Like we love to, like human beings love to do this, like with tradition and nature and all sorts of things. We're like, we're going to put a pin in this, and it's going to just stay exactly this way, right? Like it doesn't. It's always going to be moving. It's always going to be shifting. Things are going to die, but things are going to be born, whether you want those things to happen or not.
Well, isn't that what the Buddhism says, right? The only constant is change. And so it's good to be flexible. I mean, I have a card in my deck. It's a scale, and I said, because the convention, the modern convention of card creators, deck creators, is if they're used to doing tarot and then they move to something like Lenormand, they get to card 36 and they're like, that's it. So they add extra cards. So I bowed to the convention by having my artist put one extra card in, and it was scales. And I said, put just 3 daisies on one side and a pile of heavy coins on the other side, but have it evenly balanced, right? Because sometimes we make decisions from one place, sometimes from another. And the fact of the matter is, a scale may look evenly balanced, but it's always going like this. And that's what we have to be able to do, is go like this and not be so rigid in our expectations that something's going to happen and then this nightmare is going to be over, because that's not how this works.
No, it's always moving.
Do you have, I'm trying to think of how I want to ask this question, because I want to be helpful to the audience who seem to be really enjoying this conversation. So that's great. Do you have suggestions for a practice that people could start, whether it's a tarot practice or, I don't know, a practice that would give rhythm to their days, or rhythm to their weeks, or whatever, between now and when people want to think that the end of this nightmare is? Because just so you know, the end won't be the end. But anyway, are there practices that you can suggest? Is that a dumb question? Oh, okay.
No, I think there's so many different things, but I'll try to keep it simple. So, having been working in magical resistance for 10 years now.
Wait. Let's just give that a minute. That's just so cool. Magical resistance. That's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Magical resistance. I love it. Okay, go ahead. I love that.
All right. So you study especially with divination, right? You're seeing these patterns emerge and you're seeing how different groups are reacting. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's been really amping up is assault to our nervous system.
Yes.
Right? If you are a logical, emotional, spiritual person, right? If you have a working brain right now, your brain is under assault.
If you don't feel that your brain is under assault, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, check it. People like to say, go touch some grass, right? Maybe go touch a tree.
Yeah.
Maybe hit your head on the tree. I don't know. It's everything. Like we're all in a fishbowl that is boiling. Right?
Yeah.
And
that's quite the image.
I know. It hurts my soul. but here we are, right?
We are.
So that means that we need to connect to our bodies even more to help regulate what's going on. It also means disconnecting a little bit too. And so I encourage people to understand that every day is made up of little rituals. Right? You get up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you make a cup of coffee or tea, you walk the dog, you feed the children, whatever it is, right? Kind of take a moment and look at what is the daily ritual of your life? What is that daily pattern? And starting that off, or finding some point in your day where you take a moment to breathe. And my favorite thing is to do 3 breaths, which is your first breath where you hold it for about 3 to 4 seconds and release. Don't worry about counting anything else. Just kind of hold it for that 3 to 4 seconds and release. Don't get into breathe 3 in, hold 3, release 3. That just give your brain a break. Right. So a small breath, a little longer of a breath, 5 to 6 seconds, and then one more 8 to 9 seconds. Right. And just be present. If you can, stand and kind of feel from your toes to the top of your head and be present, shake your body out. And if you are investigating a divination system, take that time, once you've breathed, to shuffle the cards and pull one and go, all right, what am I seeing before we don't go to the little book?
Right.
Look at the card, look at the colors, look at the shapes, look at the number. If there's a body represented in the card, can you take on that position, right? Are you stand there as the magician above and below, and kind of just feel it for a moment and go, what is the message? What is an idea? What is something for me to think about today? And if you have time, write it down or record it into your phone, right? Or just kind of lock it into your brain, however it works. And if you do that at the start of the day, then at the end of the day, take those 3 breaths again and think about that card and think about that relationship of what you experienced. And so it gives you a point of reference. It gives you a way to connect with the card, which is, if you're learning a deck, that's even a better way to learn it, is to get familiar with it. And then see, how does it relate to you and to the world around you? And if you want to get really into it, you can pull 2 cards, like this is for me and this is for the world around me. Mm-hmm. So, but I recommend start with 1.
Right. I think that's great. I think that's great advice. I always think of, I'm not a churchy type, but I always think of Saint Teresa of Avila, my every act a prayer. And I think that's what you're certainly advising. And especially, again, I'm going to hold the book up, just paying attention and being conscious and not letting ourselves be so taken offline that we kind of act and react and don't even know, we ask that question, I was beside myself. I don't know why I did what I did. We don't want to be in that space, but be present. So I think your work is all about how to be present. I think it's beautiful. I love what you do. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to my audience before we?
Yeah, so I see a lot of folks asking about magical resistance. So the shared magic sigils, those all go under that. So if there's something going on in society right now, there is probably a sigil created for it. And there's a series of books that I've created, anthology. What's the word, right? The New Aradia series from Revelor Press, for folks who want to see more about magical resistance and what that means. There's 3: the New Aradia, the Gorgon's Guide to Magical Resistance, and Serpents of Circe, which is about magical resilience. So if you want to dive deeper into that, but you can just search my name and that will get you further into all of that work, looking at those sigils, because guaranteed there's already been a sigil created that you can connect with, that will probably help something that you are focused on right now.
So I love that. That's actionable. That's actionable stuff that we can do. So thank you so much. Well, you've been a wonderful guest, charming and instructive and uplifting. And I know that this has been a good Sunday conversation. So thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, everybody who's been chatting. And there's so much going by so quickly, but you can always drop me an email.
All right, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us.